All right. So here is. So my opponent is Teamer Control. Unlike the 4-color version, the Teamer Control can actually. Their removal for Auriok Champion is Cryptic Command bouncing it and countering it on the way back. And the zombies are black, right? And they have a Jace minus. They can Jace minus on it. So it turns out, post board they have 2 engineer explosives, which my understanding is they did not even bring in. But in my preparation for the top 4, I realized that my way to win the game, my way to win the matches, is play Auriok Champion and play Heliod and attack until they die. That was my plan. I wasn't planning on comboing at all. I was not planning on comboing at all the entire match. My plan was to play Auriok Champion and attack until they die, because they couldn't get rid of it. So I'm like, okay, opening hand as Auriok Champion. Let's go. I have Auriok Champion and Heliod. I just go like, I just play them, and then they can't win. They just lose. That was the plan. They countered it. I'm like, damn it, that sucked. Like Jace minus, like, oh, this is bad. We need to draw Collective Company. Let's go. Well, damn. Maybe they just don't have anything. So like, I ended up playing Ballista for 2 here because it's like, if they kill my Ballista, then I can -2 on the Jace, right? So playing the Ballista for 2 here, it forces them to not only does it force them to plus the Jace, it forces them to have a removal spell. Like, here are the 2 options. Either they have a removal spell and they have to plus the Jace, or they brainstorm for the removal spell and I get to kill the Jace, right? Which are both good those are both good outcomes for me. In addition to that, I could still if they plus and kill my Walking Ballista, I can still draw Collective Company and win. So enemy rightfully knows. Oops. Enemy is like, okay, they get it. They plus the Jace, and then they try to gain control of with Archmage's Charm. So I just ended up doing 2 to the Jace. So I'm like, okay, let's try to draw a Collective Company. Let's go. Get a land out of my deck to make my draw better. Let's go. Collective Company off the top. All right, that's good. The other good part about this, of taking that Jace, is that the Jace that they had was their only way to beat me if I gained enough life. They didn't have another, like, they would have to deck me, right? They had to Critical Command bounce their own Mystic Sanctuary. So now that I removed the Jace, that means I can tax the time, and if I get Spike Beater, I can just spend 10 minutes gaining the life, and it's a huge time tax for them to try to beat me this game if I gain the life. Because they have to win over like 33 turns of attacking or something. You have to tax them. So I think enemy is thinking whether they should Archmage's Charm my Giver runes maybe instead of drawing 2. I'm not sure. Yeah. Thanks, Dayregar. So Gavany Township overperformed in the tournament. Gavany Township was so good. It was actually one of the last additions I made to the deck, which is like such an insanely good draw, or insanely good addition to the deck. Dude, so late in the process, I was on the Devoted Druid version or the version with Noble Hierarchs and Birds of Paradise. Holy moly, the Arbor Elf Utopia vs. Sprawl version is so good. It's so much better. So I responded to Archmage's Charm here. I'm like, okay, well, it's not really getting much better for me. Hope they just don't have anything. They had it. They have Force Negations as their game one, so the collected companies are less likely to resolve. And there's really not much more to this game. I don't really draw anything. Yeah. Obviously, we ended up being one spell away from winning the game, and we drew all 4 Heliod's. So, yeah. Like, enemy's hand is like Mana Leak, Spell Snare, right? Mana Leak, Spell Snare, and something else. Was it the 4th Archmage's Charm or something? Or Cryptic Command? It was Cryptic Command. Cryptic Command, Spell Snare, and Mana Leak, I think. They could have just won right here, I think. They could have just, like, counter tapped, and I was dead. They were afraid of me just, like, having something instead of these 3 spells. These 3 Heliod's in my hand. Which is understandable. So. But I think it was wrong to play a pre-combat? No. So I just go Ballista and win. If this resolves, I win. I can't attack with the Arbor Elf if I need the mana from so Ranger Captain of Eos goes and gets Walking Ballista, and I just play it for 4, and then I give it lifelink and I win. Right? That's why I played a pre-combat. Wins the game. But yeah, obviously Quad Heliod's not great. So post board, we just go into the game plan of like, yeah, Auriok champion, let's go. We board out. We're gonna eventually board out some Arbor Elves because they are running 6 deck. We are in the semifinals, first match. But yeah, against Ren and 6 decks, he just board out. He board out some Arbor Elves. Not all of them, because you still need to search for them with Ranger Captain. Can I explain the surgicals? The surgical Uro or crypt, like they have Mystic Sanctuary, right? So it's with you either surgical Uro or you surgical the whatever they target. If you surgical their cryptic commands, then your life wins the game. Was it a change? Yeah. The other problem is that unlike the white version, the white version didn't have Jace. The enemy's deck has 1 Jace in it. So even if I were to gain the life, they can just deck me with Jace pretty easily. So, and like I said, I was planning on winning with Auriok champion. That was the entirety of my goal, was winning with Auriok champion Heliod, because I realized that the enemy did not have very many ways to beat it in the deck, and if I surgical Uros, they can't ever block it. Right. Yeah, Canada Fett, thanks. Yeah, I dragged all my selection windows down, like my collected companies and my Euthanisses and stuff, and my Karns and my Amphibians. I brought it all down there because I understood that. My understanding is that nobody else did that. It was cool that I did it. I wanted to force him to bolt there instead of being able to cast Archmage's Charm, which is why I ended up doing what I did. I'm like, okay, I need to draw a spell here. Like, oh, well, that's a pretty freaking good one. That's a pretty good one. Gain a life, pump, give lifelink, attack with Heliod. Ooh, baby, we take those. We did bring them in for a reason, to be fair. So. But this is what I'm talking about. Like, the pain train of REI Champion never stops. This is what I was talking about. It's unceasing. Unending. And from what viewers tell me, my enemy did not even bring in engineer explosives. So, just like, oh, they literally just are just cold. They're cold to REI Champion. Okay, let's go. Because so what happened was I knew my enemy had a Jace in their deck, so I knew that Spike Feeder was kind of not useful. And Spike Feeder's not useful, Conclave Mentor is not useful. So I boarded down to one a copy of each of those. Because I can Eladamri's Call for the one I'm missing. I can still collect a company into them. They're good hits. But that's why. The Spike Feeder Heliod is not a combo. So Spellskite no good? Yeah, Spellskite's no good. Brought in even Mind Sensor and might get him. Might get him. Might snap out a fetch land, right? Enemy mulligans to 5 this game, so. Yeah, draw 360. I'll get to that. When we get to that, it'll be fine. So I leave. So here's what happens. It's at this point. At this point, I pass with forming and open the threatened collected company, so my opponent can Archmage's turn to draw 2 cards, right? My opponent knows that I collect a company in my deck. My opponent knows that I can respond, right? So they openly crack a Misty Rainforest. So now I know they have a 2-mana counter. Their only way they make this play is if they didn't have a 2-mana counter, they wouldn't do this. Because I could respond with Collected Company and get them. So I know they have it. It's either Remand, Mana Leak, or Ether Gust. I know they have one of those 3 in their hand. I think they had Remands, but I could be wrong. So it ends up being Remand. Because they only have 2 mana, right? So I end a turn Collected Company, and they have a Remand. So I could do it now. But I know my opponent mulligan to 5, and they're really light on resources. And I realized that with Arbor Elf, if I remove the Wrenn and 6 and I play Arbor Elf, I actually have 8 mana next turn. So I can play 2 collected companies next turn. So I don't attack here. Enemy has Shark Typhoons in their deck and Nightpack Ambusher, so that's why I don't attack, if you're wondering why I didn't. The commentators even knew that, which was awesome. I think Patrick Sullivan might have commented on it. I think Patrick Sullivan said that the no attack of Skyclave Operation was good because I was playing around Nightpack Ambusher and Shark Typhoon. The 2 damage didn't matter. And so this is the play that people were like gushing about, right? So I end a turn, Collected Company, right? So so they have 2 mana open. Let's assume they have a 2 mana counter. The 2 mana counters my opponent has available to them. They have Mana Leak and Ether Gust, right? If I play Collected Company in a turn, it's good against Ether Gust, but bad against Mana Leak. So let's not walk into Mana Leak if we don't have to. So as you can see here, what I do is I wait until my upkeep. I go to my turn, I untap, and now I have 8 mana again. Now I cast Collected Company. They can't Mana Leak it. Even if they had remand, they can't remand it. I mean, they can, I can just replay it. And if they Ether Gust it, I choose to put it on top and draw it, right? So the way I play this, none of their 2 mana counters are relevant. I beat them all. Whereas an end of turn line actually uses to Mana Leak. So I don't know what's in our opponent's hand, whether they had Mana Leak and Ether Gust, but they ended up Ether Gusting this. They end up Ether Gusting this. I choose to put it on top. They put Archmage's Charm on. They put Archmage's Charm on top of their deck, so I know that they're gonna draw that. So they Ether Gust this. I'm like, okay, I'll just put it on top. Draw it for the turn, replay it. And so this is what I get. We know how much of our opponent really, it's kind of hard for them to beat our champions, right? But we do put Ranger Captain into play. We don't really need more than one RR champion. The second one doesn't do a whole lot. And go ahead and find Ballista. The reason for that, and the reason why we go find Ballista is now Heliod wins the game. Right? Putting it, because if we draw Heliod, we can just sack Ranger Captain. And we can just play, because we have RR champion in play, it's 3 mana to play Heliod. It's 2 mana to play Ballista for 1. We gain a life. RR champion puts the counter on the Ballista to make it a 2/2. We give 2 more mana. Heliod gives it lifelink, and we blow them up, right? So normally the combo takes 9 mana, but it costs 2 mana less if you have an RR champion, and I have 8 mana. So the combo requires 7 mana. And so if I draw, we go get Ballista. So if on the off chance that we draw Heliod, we can not only can we draw Heliod, we can collect a company to Heliod. We have an extra mana. I also think Engineer Explosives is in their deck. Yes, that's also why I don't get the second RR champion. I didn't know that my enemy did not bring them in. So enemy kind of goes in the tank here, I think, a little bit on this next turn. I draw Heliod. So now I sack the Ranger Captain. Now, enemy is in a very untenable position, okay? I know that what they could have done is they could have Cryptic Commanded bouncing the RR champion, because then my combo requires 9 mana, and I only have 8. They could have done that. However, if they had done that, I would have just played Heliod and Ranger Captain and found Giver of Runes and played it, right? And they're in the same position next turn. Same position next turn. And not only that, I would make my Ranger Captain a 4/4. Because they can't even bolt my Ranger Captain and get out of that. So I know that what people say is that our enemy made a mistake, but it doesn't actually matter. Right? They have to blow their Cryptic Command here to bounce the RR champion. even if they do that, they still lose. They're gonna lose the next turn. So it's not relevant. Just like my Elder Gargorath play against the old spells deck earlier, it doesn't matter. Yeah, from the information they had, they made the mistake. The mistake didn't matter, but they did make a mistake, yes. It's like I said, I have 8 mana. They bounce Ariok Champion. I play Ariok Champion. I play Heliod. I gain life with Heliod. I put a counter on something. I play Ranger Captain Vios. I gain life. I put a counter on Ranger Captain Vios. So it's a 4/4. They're dead the next turn the same way. So it doesn't matter what they do here. So what they end up doing is they try to steal Arbor Elf. I respond by untapping my land, and they respond by bouncing my land. Right? Which doesn't help them, is like I have exactly enough to win. Because I get to play my land for the turn. Because, you know, I was saying earlier that I had 1 extra mana. I had 8 mana, I only needed 7. So the fact that I can play a land this turn means I have 7 enough and they die anyways. Yeah. Well, they didn't know I would draw Heliod, right? So there's no reason for them to blow an Archmage Charm and take my Arbor Elf when they can try to counter a Heliod or something. But so that's match.